Hey, welcome back to everyone to Low Budget Logistics, your logistics and supply chain explainer. Today we're going to be talking supply chain lingo round 2, which is going to be lots of fun. I'm actually going to be bringing up a concept that we discussed very quickly in the last supply chain lingo, so much so that I did not even bother to take down my illustrations. I'm cheap. You can tell why I work in supply chain. So all that being said, hey, fantastic growth in the channel. Thank you all. You are legends. Thank you so much for the growth. I think we're up to 118 now, which is just wild, especially because we were 87 yesterday, now 118. It was crazy. I was really depressed, like, oh, I've lost a subscriber, and now we're at 118. So it's all good. Anyways, let's get into it. Today we're going to be talking, if you watched the other one, Supply Chain Lingo 1, you'll know that we're going to be talking about channels because they're important. How you sell something is important, and it will affect your supply chain. All you business owners out there, you should know that. If you're selling on e-commerce, your supply chain will be set up to efficiently sell on that sales channel. It is different than selling wholesale. It is different than selling retail. Those are the three channels that you could typically sell to. There's other ones as well. Other companies get into different types of channels. But those are going to be the big things that we'll talk about. And actually, I'm going to talk about a fourth one, a secret fourth one that sort of exists in the world of e-commerce, Amazon. So we'll get to that. Now, let's talk about the different sales channels. So a warehouse that's set up to facilitate sales across all channels will be set up in a way to have at least three different sections. Obviously, you'll have all of your inventory in one area, and then you'll be set up to facilitate orders against both retail and wholesale and e-commerce. Now, retail and wholesale are typically going to be bulk orders that come in and go out. So the volume coming in will look all the same, right? It will all have your factory packaging. It'll all, come in as a case size. It'll all be sort of uniform from the factory. It might also come in with the different POs, right? If your production arm is going to be purchasing based off of order expected volume for retail and for wholesale, they may have different POs. There may be some different nomenclature on the boxes that actually come in, but typically it'll all look the same. And very similar for e-com, it'll be bulk coming in, as indicated by this large arrow here. Lots of stuff coming in, right, via truck or air. It'll always come into your warehouse on a truck. Beside the point. But then once it gets into your warehouse, you will have some different options as far as where you put your stuff. Because in a warehouse environment, that matters. And I know there's some warehouse geeks out there that are like, yes, Matt, it matters. It matters a lot where you put your things, to the point that it will have dramatic effects on your efficiency if you put your stuff in the wrong spot. So I know I filmed a warehouse video. The title was backwards because I was watching myself in the camera. It's the whole thing. We're learning. We're all learning together here on the Low Budget Logistics. But anyways, so the fun thing about retail and wholesale, those orders will look actually very similar. Bulk in, bulk out. You'll be basically putting your stuff in the factory packaging. But a wholesale order will typically require some different labeling on the outside of a box, typically because they're going to want to efficiently process your volume into their system. And generally speaking, a wholesaler will have a WMS that's set up to receive volume against a PO and say, hey, I received this PO in. You can actually, send payment to the supplier. We got it in. So you want that labeling to be correct on all of your stuff. So that will be kind of how wholesale volume looks. Retail will be a lot easier because it's your own stores, it's your own site, it's your own people. You won't necessarily need to do a bunch of placarding on the outside. You want to do a bunch of labeling. There won't be as many requirements, right? Because it's all still you. And there's one more. There will be another touch, right, at the retail store for that before that volume actually goes to a customer, right? In a wholesale environment, your customer is the wholesaler. In a retail environment, the customer will be the actual end user of that thing. Now, again, they'll typically have inventory at each retail store. There'll at least be a back room of some sort, and that will be where everything goes. So you don't have to be as careful with your volume in those areas. Again, workers in those environments, right, retail, wholesale, they are able to just knock out thousands of units a day because they're just grabbing massive caseloads. Typically, when you're buying from a factory, you're going to have a set units per master pack, right? So inside of a larger case pack, you'll have individuals. And if if you have stuff that's small enough, you're actually able to say, hey, in every one of these, inner boxes, inner containers, I want to have X number of units, right? 5, 10, some multiple of a nice round number that you're able to go, oh, if I've got an order of 100 and I've got individual packs of 25, I'm going to grab 1, 2, 3, 4, and then off it's going to go. Very simple. You can do basically the same thing for retail, and life is very simple. Now, the fun part, we'll talk about e-commerce because it is a beast. E-commerce is such a beast. It's so hard, and people do not give it the credit that it needs and deserves. One, you have to find a way to get someone to actually buy from you, which is insane on its own on the surface. There's a lot of marketing that's pushed behind it, so it's really hard. The other fun thing is that you don't know what customers are going to buy. They could buy anything. They could buy anything that's up on your website. So you're going to need to have a lot of your stock available. And the really fun thing is that they buy typically in individual unit counts, right? So they're going to buy ones and twos of each thing because they don't need 25 or 100 things. Generally, sometimes we do. But anyways, you're going to buy, it's going to be smaller order quantities, and each order will have like 1 or 2 units per order. It will require a lot more individual time and effort to actually go and pick and pack those items. Obviously, you want to spend a good amount of time, making your product look nice and pretty before you hand it off to. So you want to make it nice and pretty. You're going to spend a lot of time and effort making sure that your customer gets what they actually order because it's important to you for customer retention. If your stuff looks shabby, that doesn't give a good impression. So e-commerce will be a really high touch environment. It means there's going to be a lot of hands. There's going to be a lot of skill and effort will be needed in facilitating that order and getting it out of the area. So you can see why we call them different channels. They're different ways to sell things. The other fun one is Amazon, because Amazon, depending on how you have been set up in Amazon and what you choose and how you choose to sell on Amazon, you could treat it very similarly to a retailer or wholesaler by shipping bulk to them, or if you're selling individually, it will be typical to an e-commerce. So that one is a fun one that will really require on your business case and your use and how you've been set up on Amazon, because again, it could be either e-commerce, individual in and out, or it could be bulk going to one of their facilities before being sent out to a final customer. That's it. That's going to be channels. That's a fun one. It's good because if someone has only worked in a bulk environment, like bulk in, bulk out, they may not understand the finer grasp of what e-commerce is and how onerous it is to actually fulfill volume out. Also, like as a logistician, as a transportation manager, it's a different trucks that you're shipping on, right? You're shipping big bulky stuff, which is going to require LTL, FTL. If you're shipping to retail, wholesale, if your retail stores can have a dock, e-commerce will typically all be parcel. But all that being said, I hope you've enjoyed this one. I hope it was informational. Thank you so much for watching. Again, the growth has been fantastic. You absolute legends. And I hope you have a fantastic day.